This young man is no ordinary person. He wants to challenge 100 members of the Baldi's gang. This Baldi's gang is from Housen High School. In that school, only the boss and top generals are allowed to grow long hair. The protagonist charges forward to attack first, and the Baldi's gang follows. He leaps into the air, taking down one opponent with each kick. He keeps moving, taking out another. The protagonist is like a tiger charging into a pack of wolves. He is Takeya Genji, the boss of Suzerain High School. The opponents are many, and just as Genji is about to be overwhelmed, reinforcements from Suzerain arrive. One side is Genji's GPS gang. The other side is Tamao's crew. They clash together, marking the start of the biggest school violence event in Japan. Who will be the last one standing? Hello everyone, Mao Mao Movie Recap is back. Today we bring you the sequel to the iconic action film, Crows 02. Suzerain High School, a gathering place for delinquents. The GPS gang, led by Genji, defeated Tamao Serizawa's crew. Genji became the boss of Suzerain. That day, Tamao was playing cards when someone ran in, being chased by the Baldi's gang. Tamao recognized the person as Booya Hiromichi, Suzerain's former leader. 2 years ago, Booya led Suzerain into a battle against Housen High School. At that time, Tamao was just a follower. The battle was evenly matched, but the Housen leader was incredibly strong. Suzerain was close to losing. Booya, desperate to win, stabbed the Housen leader, killing him on the spot. Booya was sent to prison, and Suzerain and Housen signed a truce. To avoid any further retaliation, the scene shifts to today. Noboru had just stepped out of the gates and was being chased all over. Tamao, being loyal, knew he once followed Noboru and had to step in to help, so he decided to intervene. Goldtooth, the leader of the Housen group, approached to challenge them. Just then, Genji walked by and asked, "What's going on?" Housen members, not recognizing Genji, spoke to him disrespectfully. Genji, annoyed, immediately took down 2 of their generals. Goldtooth remained calm, and soon learned that Genji was the new boss of Suzerain. Now things have gotten serious. The truce is now just a piece of paper. Housen and Suzerain officially declare war. Genji realized he had caused trouble, but he didn't seem to care. Tamao told Genji, being Suzerain's boss isn't so easy. Noboru, feeling humiliated, thanked Tamao, and quietly walked away. Let's compare the strengths of the two schools. Housen's Baldi's gang is led by Narumi Taiga. Under Taiga, there are 4 generals. First is Ryo. Second is Goldtooth, a dangerous fighter. Third is Tetsuji, Blondie. Among them, Ryo is the strongest. Whenever he fights, opponents are severely injured. Taiga, knowing the truce was broken, quickly planned a large-scale retaliation. At Suzerain, there are 2 main factions. The strongest is Genji's GPS gang, with 5 generals, Takashi, Sun, Hoda, and the newly recruited Mikami twins. The second strongest is Tamao's gang, with 3 generals, Tokyo, a strategist and a skilled judo fighter. However, members of these 2 gangs do not get along. Tokyo suggested Genji and Tamao join forces to confront Housen, but to no avail. The 2 leaders remained indifferent, while their underlings scrambled to keep up. Sun roamed everywhere recruiting more members for GPS. He really wanted the trio Hiromi, Makoto, and Toshio to join, but they completely ignored it. Housen's revenge plan started quickly. The skilled judo fighter was attacked on the basketball court. He knocked down many bald-headed thugs, but then Ryo intervened. The judo fighter was injured in less than 20 seconds. Then Ryo began using vicious techniques, repeatedly kneeing him in the head. That same night, the strategist fell into an ambush by Blondie. He led his gang to surround and fight in an elevator. Takashi, Chuda, and the Mikami twins were fooling around. Then a group of bald-headed thugs appeared ahead. Their sheer numbers overwhelmed them. Only Takashi remained unyielding. The boss, Taiga, personally came to knock Takashi unconscious. When Genji heard about this, he was furious. Clearly, something had to be done. Sun challenged Tamao to a duel for Genji's sake. If Sun won, both sides would join forces against Housen. Tamao, the king of beasts, didn't disappoint. He blocked every one of Sun's attacks with ease. Sun was also tenacious. He kept attacking until he managed to injure Tamao. Tamao laughed in anger, jumped up, and sent Sun flying with a kick. The match ended, and Genji realized that to gain more followers, he had to defeat the strongest student at Suzerain, Rinda. Only then could he unite the entire school. But Rinda stood 190 centimeters tall, with bulging muscles. Genji had challenged him over 10 times, but never won. This time was no different. But Genji's unyielding attitude even earned Tamao's reluctant admiration. Genji fainted, and when he woke up, it was midnight. The school gymnasium was ablaze. It turned out that Tokaji, a traitor, started the fire. Takashi, Tokyo, and Chuda wanted to immediately seek revenge at Housen. But Genji remained surprisingly calm. He told everyone not to get angry. The gymnasium was already old and dilapidated, it's no big deal. Tokyo was dissatisfied with this statement, so he lashed out at Genji without holding back. But Genji did not fight back. Deep inside, Genji understood that going to Housen now was equivalent to sending his brothers to their deaths. The next day, Genji and 5 others went to Housen to declare war. At that moment, he realized that Taiga and he had crossed paths before. Taiga had once lit a cigarette for him. Genji lit a cigarette for Taiga in return, repaying the favor. The two agreed that tomorrow the battle would take place at Housen High. Genji returned to Suzerain, using the school's loudspeakers to rally students to his side. He hoped to get more students from various grades to join him. But in the end, only 40 people answered his call. Tamao's gang didn't show up either. The trio Hiromi, Makoto, and Toshiaki from grade 10 came with their crew. But they said they didn't want to be cannon fodder. After saying this, they turned and left. Housen had at least 100 people on their side. Takashi and the others said, "Let's go, we'll take our chances." But Genji said, "Forget it." And so, the GPS gang disbanded on the spot. Genji walked away alone. The others stood there in stunned silence. But Sun saw through it. Given Genji's personality, there's no way he'd just give up. He simply didn't want everyone to throw their lives away pointlessly. Genji was clearly heading to fight alone. Even Tamao's gang, upon hearing this, secretly admired Genji's courage and decided to assist him. Genji tied up his hair. It was a symbolic act, marking the start of battle. He headed alone to Housen. Standing against him were Taiga and over 100 bald-headed gang members. But Genji casually said, "Against you lot, I alone am enough." Then Genji charged straight into their ranks at full speed. Taiga shouted, and his men surged forward. Genji kicked down one opponent in a single move. He accelerated and kicked down another opponent. He resembled a fierce tiger charging into a pack of wolves. But still, the enemy had numbers, with 3 to 4 people pinning him down. As Genji was at a disadvantage, reinforcements from Suzerain arrived. On one side was GPS, on the other, Tamao's brigade. They united as they advanced. A large-scale battle involving hundreds was imminent. Tamao smirked and handed over command to Genji. Genji turned around, and both sides began to clash intensely. Taiga proposed a condition for their duel. Genji had to reach the rooftop. Storming into the lecture hall, Taiga clearly wanted to increase the difficulty. Genji was fearless and agreed immediately. He let out a loud roar, and the two sides charged at each other. Now this was a real gang fight. No schemes or tricks, just raw combat. A group of bald-headed thugs surrounded Genji, but Tokyo quickly came to his rescue. They were middle school classmates, and now, they could fight side by side again. The strategist was surrounded, but Sun rushed to save him. These two eternal rivals finally fought on the same side. Takashi shouted loudly, "Come on, you bald heads." Chuda, who usually got beaten up, was extraordinarily fierce today. After 20 minutes, the bald thugs on the training ground had no fight left. Tamao shouted, "We must get Genji to the rooftop at all costs." Suzerain's forces stormed the lecture hall. Everyone inside was stunned. It wasn't just 12th graders. 10th and 11th graders were present too. Moreover, they had the home field advantage. The number of bald thugs increased rapidly. Suzerain's situation became increasingly dire. But their morale didn't waver. All thanks to Genji. The lecture hall's first floor was filled with bald-headed thugs. As Genji and Tamao led their generals into battle like a swarm of bees. The bald-headed underlings couldn't hold them off, so they let Genji move upstairs. Taiga's third lieutenant suddenly led a group to ambush. The Mikami twins shouted for Genji to go ahead while they held the line. They stayed back to buy time. Takashi fought fiercely, charging into a classroom alone, only to be surrounded by over 20 bald thugs. Taiga, while eating a bun, ordered his men to step back so he could personally face Takashi. Still harboring resentment from their last encounter, Takashi was determined to settle the score. At first, he blocked a few strikes from Taiga. But Taiga's status as the school boss meant his strength was undoubtedly superior to Takashi's. Takashi knew he couldn't beat Taiga, but he could at least weaken Taiga for Genji. Takashi showed incredible resilience, getting up even after being struck. Finally, he collapsed from exhaustion at Taiga's feet. Meanwhile, chaos erupted on the second floor, where bald thugs were everywhere. Chuda, never having been in such a big fight before, charged in recklessly out of excitement, but was beaten badly due to his lone wolf approach. Genji, furious, called him back. The strategist offered to handle it, urging Genji to quickly head to the rooftop. He entrusted Dazai to protect Genji. Dazai vowed he would do so, even at the cost of his life. Just then, Tetsuji arrived. The strategist, still holding a grudge from their last encounter, in the elevator, immediately attacked him. On the third floor, Tokyo single-handedly held off over 10 bald thugs. Despite the stitches on his head, they swarmed him relentlessly, finally tearing off his bandages. Tokyo fell to the ground, but his fighting spirit surged unexpectedly at that moment. Once he got up, his combat power became even fiercer. Tamao and Sun escorted Genji to the 4th floor, which was guarded by Rang Vang, Gold Tooth. Sun stayed to hold him off, allowing Genji and Tamao to advance upstairs. He wanted to risk everything to fight Gold Tooth. But during the fight, he realized Gold Tooth's strength was nothing special. As they were about to reach the rooftop, they encountered Ryo. At this point, Tamao told Genji to go ahead, while he handled Ryo. Ryo's greatest ambition was to defeat Tamao, the king of beasts. So he allowed Genji to pass. Ryo unleashed a shadow strike technique. That left Tamao struggling to defend himself. He followed it up with a wind split kick, sending Tamao tumbling down the stairs. Ryo sneered, mocking Tamao as just a paper tiger. But Tamao had already seen through all of Ryo's moves. He began to counterattack, closing in on Ryo step by step. Ryo panicked and desperately fought back. Tamao didn't bother dodging. He grabbed Ryo's arm and said, "Let me show you what true strength is." With one powerful blow, Tamao left Ryo stunned. He then followed up with a wind split kick, defeating Ryo on the spot. Meanwhile, Genji had reached the rooftop, where Taiga awaited him. Genji charged forward, leaping to deliver a powerful strike. The two began their one-on-one battle. Taiga landed a punch on Genji, but Genji countered with a kick. Taiga responded with another punch. Genji used a signature move to kick Taiga in the head. Taiga knocked Genji down with a strong blow. Instinctively, Genji swept Taiga's legs, causing him to fall backward. Taking advantage of the moment, Genji quickly stood up to catch his breath. Unexpectedly, the traitor Katani appeared, wielding a knife to stab Genji. But he was kicked down by the younger brother of Housen's previous leader. Despising cowardly acts with weapons, Taiga punched the traitor furiously. He then resumed his fight with Genji. At this point, Tamao arrived, witnessing the final showdown. Genji and Taiga, exhausted, continued exchanging blows. Both were completely drained. Now, they fought purely on willpower. When it came to endurance, no one could surpass the unyielding Genji. Finally, after an intense exchange of moves, Genji defeated Taiga. The fight ends. Genji unties his hair and walks to Tamao. "Our general really is quite troublesome, huh? Enough talking, lend me your shoulder." The younger brother of Housen's former leader looks at Taiga. "From now on, I'll carry on my brother's dream." Suzerain's people return victorious. Though covered in injuries, this honor will shine for a lifetime. At this moment, the traitor Katani is hiding, too ashamed to face Genji. Genji waves at him and says, "Come home with us." Half a month later, after recovering, it's time to graduate. Everyone's graduation certificates are pinned to Suzerain's wall of glory. The king of Suzerain, with Genji's name below it, alongside the two diplomas of Genji and Tamao. Now graduated, Genji still has one unfulfilled wish, and that's to defeat Linda. Everyone eagerly anticipates the final result. Tamao bets all his fortune on Genji. Genji charges forward but is restrained, even his punches are blocked. Linda lands a powerful strike on Genji. Genji calculates precisely, dodges a critical blow, and lands a hit on Linda's stomach, then follows it up with a punch to his face. Linda attempts another attack, but Genji swiftly dodges and lands another blow on Linda. Linda kneels on one knee. The two are surprisingly evenly matched. The crowd erupts in cheers. Tamao laughs with joy. After that, Genji charges forward again, as if moving ahead on the path of life. The movie, Crows 02, ends here. After watching the movie, we have a question for you. Between Suzerain's two leaders, Genji and Tamao, who do you think is more handsome? If you think Genji is more handsome, press 1. If you think Tamao is more handsome, press 2. If you think both are equally handsome, press 3. Alright, see you in the final part of the movie. Goodbye.